Hi, I'm Randy Wooden, and welcome to another in our Edge Library series. This time we're talking to people who are in transition, and the question of salary history and what did you make in your last position can come up. Let's talk about how to deal with that. Now, first of all, this assumes that you haven't already had to divulge this information either online or in some other form of application. But let's assume this is the first time that you're hearing this question from this employer. And as we all know, especially in a tough economy, if you're in transition, you'll do what you've got to do to try to bring in some money. And so maybe your last position really wasn't what I'd call a career-oriented position, but really just something to do to make a little bit of money while you continued looking. And I think it's certainly fair to indicate that to an employer. And actually, they may see that on your resume or on the application. But let's assume, for argument's sake now, that your last position was, in fact, what I'd call a good job. It was something that was in your field and something that you're good at and would ideally like to do again, or at least it's something that wasn't a Band-Aid sort of job that was very, very low pay. Now, in other library series, we've handled the question about what are you looking for money-wise. This question still sort of gets at the same information by asking what did you used to make. And by information, I mean they've got to figure out, is this fellow going to fit into my, or woman is going to fit into my salary range that we have for this position. So I can either ask you what do you want to make, or I can ask you what did you make. Either way, if it doesn't match with my range, you're out for the most part. So you as a candidate, it's in your interest to not divulge what you used to make. Now, think green light. Green light is dodge the question, change the subject. So if they ask you what did you used to make, say, well, I was paid fairly for what I did, and certainly different position, different company and such. I've got to think that wherever I go, I'd be paid certainly based on the job scope, and not a concern for me at this point anyway. And I wonder, could you tell me a little bit more about, and then change the subject. Yellow light means to stop and deal with it. So pretty similar sort of answer. Again, you're not really looking to dodge totally here, but what you might want to do is to say, well, I was paid fairly for what I did. It is a different company and even perhaps a different position. And I'm sure that if there's a good match here that we'll be able to work something out. I just was curious, what sort of range did you target for this position? Now, the red light is to stop and deal with it. I'd still contend that it's better for you not to give a specific number, especially if your old job entailed bonuses, commissions, anything to kind of muddy the waters is actually to your advantage. So what you might do is to say, well, over the last several years, my income has ranged from bing to bing. And the ranges are phrased with mid, low, high, and upper. So I've been paid between base salary and benefits, commission, bonus, what have you, anywhere from the mid-60s to mid-80s, or whatever that range happens to be. The idea here is to create a little wiggle room. You want to be somewhat vague to give them an idea that, okay, I can fit in here, but let's not get too specific talking about dollars right now. Let's at least get it out of our system that we're close enough, and now let's talk about the position and whether I'm a fit. At the end, then we can talk dollars and what makes sense for both sides. So the idea here is to push this out as best you can for as long as you can without blowing the interview, and that's very important. And that'll wrap it up for this segment in our Edge Library series, talking with the people in transition and dealing with handling that difficult salary history question. I'm Randy Wooden. Thanks for watching.